I'm here at the Queen's Crescent Community Centre. This is the hub for the local community, but also where you'll find the local MP Keir Starmer paying his respects to the community in the midst of any kind of serious knife crime attack. Its association with the ongoing knife crime epidemic is made even more clear by the mural to Calvin Bisa, aka CeeMiz, who lost his life in April 2019. The Metropolitan Police released dashcam footage showing several men armed with large blades chasing him down and ultimately taking his life. Today, a large mural remains here reading Miz World, which keeps Calvin's memory alive, but also reminds everybody of this shocking murder that took place on a busy London street. By the end of 2018, the streets of Camden had gotten as deadly as they had ever been, and the situation there had become a crisis. But little did the community or authorities know that the worst was yet to come. With the rise of social media and drill music, soon the grisly details of the Camden gang war would escape beyond the headlines of local newspapers and into the lyrics of violent drill songs. In fact, on November the 7th, 2018, one of the first actual songs in this particular Camden gang war is released. Pegwater members Lanx, C2 and Gxng released their track What Happened. Filmed in front of the convenience store near the Pegwater estate where AK lost his life, it featured lyrics where they appear to claim to have killed two of their ops, seemingly a direct reference to the murders of AK and S45. Those responsible for the violence against Agar Grove and their affiliates were seemingly proud of what they had done, and now they were beginning to use music to boast and brag about the murders of Mitch, AK and S45. This clearly had a huge impact on the members of the estates in the 71st postcode. T-Scam would later rap in his Cold Room freestyle about how hurt he was to lose AK and his intentions to kill anyone who spoke ill on his friend's name. And more so, Suspect himself, who would rap on the later song Turn Up about how much he missed AK and S45 and his intention to kill anyone involved in their deaths. However, Suspect himself was still incarcerated when his two friends lost his lives. Then, some point later after this incident, he was released from prison back onto the streets of Camden. Suspect later claimed in his song Test My Temper that he had devilish thoughts when he was in jail and that when he was released, he came out to raise hell in the streets. Suspect was rumoured to have played a role in numerous instances of violence following his release in mid-2018, including a shooting in the middle of a Camden street caught on camera targeting a rival in another car. Around these times, Suspect would also be seen on social media looking for his ops on the Pegwater estate.
Yeah? Nowhere be at. Nobody outside.
However, one of the most brutal instances of violence that Suspect was allegedly involved in would take place in early 2019, marking the start of an extremely violent year. In 2019, many members who had been locked up were released, and fresh home 71st members from their various estates wanted revenge for the 3 murders of their friends that took place before people went to prison. At around 1 AM on the 15th of February 2019, a 51st affiliate who went by the name Gxng was walking past a Sainsbury's supermarket chain in Cumbo's territory near the Regent's Park. According to a report by London's Evening Standard, he was rammed by an SUV. Then, several 71st members exited the vehicle, attacking him with knives and stabbing him repeatedly in his body and head, leaving him with what the newspaper described as life-changing injuries. Apparently, Suspect was one of these people instigating the attack, and he and other active gang members would taunt Gxng relentlessly in his music and social media going forward, and even boastfully rapping about how many of their ops they've put on the bonnet of their cars and rammed with vehicles. Suspect would even post an Instagram story where he claimed that the video game Call of Duty inspired him to rap, and saying, "Shout out to the Gulag for letting Squeeze out," a reference to the fact that despite this savage attack, Squeeze managed to escape with his life. Clearly, Suspect, active gang, and members affiliated with other estates in the 71st postcode district were proud of their violent activities on the streets of Camden. And with the growing resurgence of UK drill music in 2019, some members were looking to capitalise on their growing notoriety in the streets by making more music about their gangbanging lifestyle. On the 28th of March 2019, Active Gang would release their first music video, a track called Money and Violence, featuring verses from members Suspect, Broad Day, and Hitman. The video was originally posted on the YouTube channel of Link Up TV, a legendary British media platform focused on promoting British rap, grime, drill, and the rest. Unfortunately, the original upload of this music video was removed for violating YouTube's terms of service, but re-uploads still circulate amongst the internet's many rabid Active Gang fans. The song failed to make as much noise at the time of its release as the later releases, but it provides an interesting insight into Active Gang's development as rappers. The track features a menacing intro where Suspect reps his allegiance to the original crew Cracktown Town and Active Gang, as well as dissing the 51st postcode, and references to using zombie knives and firearms. In the verse, Suspect raps about how he lies to his mother when she asks if he's going to change his violent ways, as well as saying RIP to S45 and rapping about how the beef is still active in the streets and he continues to stab his enemies. Then, on the third verse, Hitman would hit the mic claiming to be hood famous and the Active Gang are the kings of Camden, claiming that the ops are on ropes since Suspect got out of jail, and claiming to be in the Cumbo and Peckwater estates looking to kill. Suspect's place as the most prominent member of Active Gang seemed to be cemented from the very start, as he would return for another verse at the end of the track, seemingly referencing going missing as a teenager and rapping about how he stays in the trap house to make money despite the stress it causes his mother. And this was also one of the rare occasions where Suspect himself actually appeared in a music video, with fans seemingly amused by the speed at which he ran after his ops in a scene that was literally filmed on the Peckwater estate. Despite showing some promise as rappers, clearly the members of Active Gang were primarily focused on their activities in the streets, as only days after this song released, yet another murder would play out on the streets of Camden, with Active Gang members openly claiming responsibility. CeeMiz, real name Calvin Bangisa, was a British Congolese young man whose family came to the UK to escape the civil war in Congo and search for a better life. He grew up in relative poverty in the Denton estate in Kentish Town, a social housing project known for its gang activity. Apparently his family made the best of their circumstances, with his mother working as a dinner lady in a nearby school and CeeMiz himself being an enthusiastic football player. Unfortunately, almost a year before CeeMiz would end up losing his life, the family was already struck by a tragedy when his father passed away. CeeMiz was allegedly an older member of the original Queen's Crescent Gang, or OQC, a set that was apparently beefing with several other gangs around Camden, including gangs that would later unite under the 71st Alliance. And he had allegedly even been in physical altercations with many members of the Alliance in the months leading up to his death. CeeMiz was allegedly known by another name in the streets, C-Murder, apparently the result of him allegedly being involved in the killing of a young man named Kwasi Anim Bodu, also known as Lavish. Lavish was stabbed to death in April 2018 by unknown assailants, and the homicide remains unsolved to this day, with witnesses in the case refusing to cooperate and identify those responsible. But despite an alleged reputation as a killer in the streets in an unrelated incident, it was ultimately an altercation with members from Active Gang that would end up taking the life of CeeMiz. What exactly happened in the days leading up to his death have been subject to intense debate online, with many rumours being unconfirmed but painting a picture of an ongoing feud that escalated. According to these rumours, CeeMiz was regularly dissing dead members from rival gangs on social media such as Mitch and S45, and not long before his death, he even allegedly had attacked Suspect unsuccessfully, ultimately leading to Active Gang to actively hunt him down in the days that followed. On the 1st of April 2019, CeeMiz had been hanging out with his cousin. According to that cousin, while they were at a chicken shop that day, CeeMiz received a phone call where he got some disturbing news. According to rumours, his friend had called him warning him that members from Agar Grove were outside and looking for him. Then, around 8:30 PM, as CeeMiz and his cousin were getting out of a taxi in the Gospel Oak neighbourhood, he would unfortunately be unaware that at that moment he was indeed being followed by members of Active Gang. And upon getting out of the cab, 4 masked men driving behind got out of a dark Volkswagen Bora that had been stolen 4 days before. The 4 masked men began running towards the pair. One of these men was allegedly Suspect, and another was SY, accompanied by other affiliates from Active Gang. According to his cousin, CeeMiz saw the men coming and said, "Look, run." Due to the recent incidents in the area, it seems that they both knew what was going on, and they both began running in opposite directions. Unfortunately, CeeMiz, the main target, was being chased, and during this foot chase he tripped. CeeMiz would fall to the ground, where he was kicked and stabbed. At least part of the attack was caught on a dash cam of a passing taxi, seemingly showing 2 assailants dressed in black running towards the scene of the homicide, which has been censored by the police. Police would also go on to release CCTV footage of the car speeding away from the scene of the crime, with reporters arriving on the scene, further capturing images. At 9:01 PM, about half an hour after police had been called, CeeMiz was unfortunately pronounced dead at the scene, and his mother reportedly heard the news of her son's stabbing, rushing to the scene, where she was informed by police he'd lost his life, with some later pointing out the tragedy that his family had moved to London to escape war in Congo, and something like this still ended up happening in the UK. Police would set up a cordon at the scene and be seen collecting forensic evidence into the morning, and the police would later track the getaway car's movement through CCTV cameras, eventually finding it burned out at Court Gardens with false number plates still intact. Months later in June, CeeMiz would finally be laid to rest in a large funeral attended by his family, friends, and the larger community. After his death, at least 2 graffiti murals were made in his memory, one around his death scene on the Grafton Road Bridge and another at the Queen's Crescent Community Centre. His death clearly touched many in the community. Interestingly, 51st member Gutter would later explain that despite their shared rivalries, many from Peckwater and Cumbo didn't know CeeMiz, suggesting that the OQC crew were at war with Gxng separately to their long-run feud. However, regardless of the specific affiliations on the Agar Grove side, Suspect and the others were seemingly celebrating following the brutal murder of CeeMiz, with active gang members believed to have been involved in the murder posting victoriously on social media, with Suspect later posting a Snapchat story of someone holding an active gang cap in front of one of the murals combined with laughing emojis. And once again, they would later end up dissing CeeMiz relentlessly in their music. Suspect would also often refer to CeeMiz's Congolese background, rapping how they're not smoking stuff from California, but from Congo, using the common trope in drill music to figuratively smoke one's ops, even referring to CeeMiz by his family name, claiming to be smoking Bungisa. In fact, one particularly disrespectful song featuring Too Smoky and Arms would circulate, titled Congo, where Arms rapped that they're smoking Congo and that his friend killed CeeMiz. After this brutal slaying, police put into place another Section 60 order giving police greater stop and search powers for the local area. Meanwhile, due to the high number of Somalians in the 71st postcode gangs, rumours circulated in the community that gang members from Queen's Crescent of West African heritage were planning to kill any Somalians that they see as vengeance for the attack on CeeMiz, raising once again fears about a race war erupting between gangs of different ethnicities in Camden.
Revenge for Calvin's killing, and his friends have literally said they are going to go out and kill any Somali in retaliation. So I just want to make that really clear. This is from a young Somali woman in Camden who's 24 years old, and we strongly suspect they're going to go out tonight and kill a Somali, and we know they're going to take out a kid that is easy to basically kill. And I cannot stress the importance of this message to you. And
listen guys, just finished work, and basically I saw someone sent me something from Manting in the messaging page. Basically, if you're Somali, yeah, and you're around Camden, get back inside. There must have been some beef and someone called Calvin died, and basically the friends of that person are looking to kill a Somali person, whether they're a boy or a girl or whatever. There's conversations off, yeah, someone going out there to kill another Somali, yeah, kill any Somali, not related or unrelated and so forth.
Despite the ongoing disrespect, over a year would pass and no one was charged with the killing of CeeMiz. Later, his family would speak to the press again, opening up about the devastation that his death had caused for the family and emphasising how they need justice for their son, with his mother telling the news she has not been the same since the police told her about the gruesome way her son lost his life. And despite one arrest and a number of people being interviewed by police, no one was ever held responsible for this crime, with the police notably dismissing evidence from the community that active gang members had bragged about the murder on social media, with Calvin's mother saying the local community knew who killed her son, but the police do nothing. Another clip would circulate allegedly showing Suspect and SY in a park, apparently the day after the murder, with members appearing to be stressed out.
Dan Saft or the K-Ast or split CeeMiz 51st.
I'm sorry.
It seemed clear at this point that the police were not truly protecting the Camden community. London's Metropolitan Police unfortunately have a poor reputation for racism, with the force being publicly described as rotten and broken. And in the wake of the murder of CeeMiz, the highest ranking police officer in Camden would rub salt in the wounds. On April the 10th, 2019, telling the community that it was their responsibility to solve the crime, not the police, and admonishing the community for not snitching, telling them that the police were frustrated that people in the room likely knew the killers' names but wouldn't tell them, and saying outright that not talking to the police means no justice will be delivered. Rather than maintaining a safe environment, they blamed the very community torn apart by these crimes for their failure to deliver justice, with audience members clapping back and saying that they know these murders are going to take place and demanding that the police intervene, with the detective even clapping back to the audience, blaming them and refusing to accept that the police had failed to pick up on tensions in the area, blaming the community for not coming to them with intelligence before the murders took place. This made it very clear to the Camden community that their safety was their own responsibility, not the police's, with the leader of the community association that held the meeting dismissing the police's victim blaming as nonsense and saying that they knew what was happening, with the police complaining about how miserable they are when they get phone calls telling them that the people they're monitoring in the community they're supposed to police have been killed. But then again, who's truly to blame when the police are arguably working with limited resources? Also in attendance, once again, was local MP Keir Starmer, who admitted that money had been taken out of the community. But he refused to place the blame on the government, saying that he's here to ask himself the question of if he was doing enough. 2 days later, Keir Starmer would host another event at the same location, holding a town hall at the Queen's Crescent Community Centre and telling the community that they cannot allow this to continue. He would even tell the audience that they didn't want to be here again after having held similar meetings a year before after the murders of AK and S45, and lamenting how they've been in this room having these same discussions over and over again, and admitting his efforts to protect the community had been futile. Chris Kyriakou, whose son Frankie was stabbed to death in 2002, actually confronted Starmer, telling him things aren't getting better and saying that they need to understand why this is happening, and questioning what is it that this community isn't getting that's leading to the violence. This is the exact kind of thinking that's needed to put an end to the violence in these communities. And after telling the community that he wouldn't let the violence continue, sadly, nothing would change. And so, the community that Keir Starmer was elected to represent would indeed continue to suffer violent incidents, and it would only be a matter of months until another young man in Camden would lose his life at the hands of out-of-control gang violence.